Ready, hot!
Here going down to Texas Tech will be a big challenge. They just went on the road and beat a good Iowa State team at Iowa State. They're typical like they have been, throwing the football and running it really well, spreading you out, and much of the same attack that you've seen from them in the last several years, and they're doing it well. And then defensively, they're much different than a year ago. You see them right now. They're leading the league in most categories defensively and how they're playing. They've done an excellent job in the discipline of their defense. They play hard. They're physical. They're covering you tighter. So they've done a really good job there with their defense here so far. So anyway, it'll be an exciting and big challenge going down there, like it always is. So we're looking forward to it.
What's your thoughts as you head into October about your offense?
Well, it's only been 3 games, Al. So I thought, last, 2 weeks ago at Kansas State, if we took care of the football, then it looks pretty decent against a good Kansas State team, and you have a chance to win, and you have a chance to. So what we had 19, 20, you have 27, 30 points possibly, if you take care of the ball. But that didn't happen. So I think if we'll take care of the football, I think we'll be fine.
Bob, you've gotten off to slow starts, at least offensively, in the first 3 games. I think 3 points and 3 opening possessions. What needs to change there?
It's overall execution. That's what it always is. It's blocking. It's hitting a guy that's open. The precision in routes. Just a little bit of everything.
You don't see any lack of urgency at that early stage of the game. Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I guess I mean that you don't see your team coming out and not playing its best, playing its hardest right from the start.
I think there's a sense of urgency, but there's a big difference between a sense of urgency and consistency or execution. It's not for not wanting to.
What did you see from this team? A lot of the same leadership back after this loss to Tech a year ago. Then you guys went to Kansas State and really played well the week after that. You kind of feel that same resiliency in this team working with them last week? You're still going to have to go and execute well, and we did at Kansas State a year ago. So, and didn't turn the ball over. So in the end, these guys have had it. Yes, I see the same kind of attitude in how they're working and coming to practice, coming to meetings. So in that regard, yes, I do see the same kind of attitude, and hopefully resiliency.
But what's Tech? Are they structurally different on defense, or are they just?
Yes, Art Kaufman's done an excellent job. You could tell just the discipline in what they're doing. They're playing aggressive. They're physical up front. Their coverage. They're covering you tight. So they're doing a lot of things well.
I have to claim I don't know much about the 3 lower division teams that they played. Have they played an offense similar to yours? I know Iowa State is not. Have they seen your style of offense yet?
Oh, a little bit, to a degree. But overall, probably not.
But you haven't seen their style of offense either.
Right.
So is there any unknown factor on both sides because of getting into October?
I think there's a lot unknown across the country because we played 3 games, us more so than others, because we've had 2 off weeks already and we only have played 3 games. So sure, there's a lot of unknown, and I'm sure there is a degree to them as well.
Bob, you lost 3 straight down there. Do you talk to the guys any at all about what you need to do or why it's been challenging down there?
Not in particular. We'll address what do we have to do well to win down there. But in the end, to bring up, something that happened in 2005 doesn't, in the end, it'll get down to the same things. Will you protect the football? be strong in the kicking game, play good defense. It gets down to a lot of the same things. But, for instance, what the heck? It didn't matter to Tech. How many times did we win here? We had last time they were here before last year. We beat them 62-10 or whatever the heck it was. It didn't seem to matter a year ago. So everyone wants to tie years to other years, and I don't see that it equates that way. We went to Kansas State a year ago and had a heck of a game, and we didn't do that the other night. So in the end, different years are different years.
It has been kind of weird though in Lubbock for you guys. You lose your starting quarterback in 2007 on like the first series, 2005. Right. There's some craziness there at the end of that game too.
Well, sometimes you get some unfortunate circumstances at different times, or the ball doesn't bounce, or you get an injury, and that's just part of playing.
Is there any personnel as far as plays maybe deserve more playing time that you want to see?
Well, we've talked, and it was obvious. We had brought up that we wanted to get Damian more carries and more opportunities. And then from there, I think there's only so much you can do. Again, if you're snapping it 100 times, everybody's going to get more opportunities, and hopefully we could stay on the field longer to get more guys opportunities.
Did you catch any of the West Virginia-Baylor game?
I did catch some of it.
As an old defensive coach, what did you think of that?
It's a nightmare. They're just what you have to appreciate. Now, everyone will have their debates on defense, whether there's defense or not, but you get the precision of some of the quarterbacks and the receivers, and what some of the things they're doing is pretty strong. So it's it just gets harder and harder to defend.
Going back to Williams getting more touches, does that desire come from something that he offers that the other running backs don't, or just based on how all the running backs have performed in practice?
It's just based on practice and what we've seen in games to this point. He just is he's been really strong, also taking care of the football, but also making big plays and getting extra yards.
You said you'd like to get 100 snaps, ideally, to get more guys playing time. You're averaging 72 snaps a game now. What needs to improve? And get
execution. And everyone was all execute. Well, yeah, that's what keeps you on the field. You pick up a blitz, you get a little extra time to throw the ball, or extra time for a receiver to work his way open, or receiver runs a real sharp, crisp route that gets himself open where you could get him the ball, or the ball is on time. All those things, it wraps up into staying on the field, picking up first downs, picking up yards.
Is any of that choice being made to play faster more often, or do we view that wrongly, that an incomplete pass could really mess up the pace of how things are going, and it really is execution?
Well, certain things do disrupt the flow. Just like everybody wants certain players to play. Well, when they go in the game, the substitutions, that slows you down. So they're just certain. You have your tempo to a degree, and we do. And when you're not able to, you still get up there and roll as quick as you can.
Any personnel going to play, but outside of Damian Williams, maybe anybody else going to play more than maybe they have been playing?
In regard to, who are you looking
Sterling
for?
Shepard.
Sterling is going to be in there. To a degree, he'll be in there some. Yeah, how much more, we'll see.
I was thinking lines or anywhere really.
No, we haven't changed personnel much.
You guys, in the past, you've been able to do so many unique things because of the tight end position. I know a lot of that was Jermaine Gresham, but is that position coming along more to where you can be more multiple a little bit on offense?
We're working it, but it's fair to say to this point it hasn't been, it hasn't been as strong as you want it to be, and that's not all that surprising with the inexperience that's there. So they're working hard, and hopefully they'll keep coming along to where we can, use them more and more.
Landry has expressed the fact that he hasn't really played up to his own expectations. Did you see anything last week in the practices that shows that he's
Well-
being more comfortable with what he's doing? I mean,
Well, I think as much as anything, what you got to be careful of is a guy that I think the worst thing a quarterback can do is press, is to try and force the issue and try and, to get to where you're pressing as opposed to letting it come to you. Go through your reads and take what's there, take what there was the old adage, take what they give you, and be smart about it, So I think as much as anything, that's what we want them to do.
How do you accomplish that goal?
Just keep practicing, keep working your execution at practice, going through your reads, 1, 2, 3, and throw it to the guy that's open. So they're working hard on it.
Bob, I think there was at least one of the players who said in practice Landry has been more vocal and been a stronger leader than they've seen in the past. Did you notice that in practice, and did you talk to him about that?
I have seen him doing it all along, so I have seen it. I have not felt the need that I've had to talk to him about it because he's been a great leader, and he works hard at it. And I think a great leader is always respected when the guys see how much you put into whether it's practice, the summer leading up to the season, how hard he works, and so he leads in a lot of ways, not just vocally.
have the open dates been at a good time, or would you have rather had that time to play games and get more game ready?
Well, you'd always like to have more games, yeah, but it just, I thought Joe Castiglione and did it the best he could with what, our whole situation, which everyone has already talked about it with conference realignment. TCU was one of our non-conference games being moved to a conference game. All of that is just, this is what best they could come up with.
Bob, in the offseason, Landry worked with George Whitfield, and he's recently talked about quarterbacks being like sound in the pocket, not afraid of being close to everybody. How do you get Landry to just, because Kansas State had said that that's what they noticed is when you got close to him, he got a little scared. How do you get Landry to be comfortable?
Well, I think it's just confidence in sitting in there and delivering the football. And, we do what you can do. We go against each other. We do a blitz period every day where we got the better defensive guys are coming after him. So you do the things you can short of hitting them. And we're not going to do that. So.
How much did you go good on good last week?
We went every day, certain segments, team segments, and then Thursday we went the whole day against each other. So, in that Texas Tech has a lot of the similar offensive schemes and whatnot that we do. So we went against each other for about 40 plays.
Was it more than you typically would have, or had, say if you were?
Yeah, it just worked. We were able to, I think, as much because we were comfortable with the schemes each are playing to go against each other, that we're getting good work for Texas Tech.
Have you seen any common threads in all the troubles that you've had in Lubbock through the years, or is it just each year something different?
There's common threads in any time you lose a game, whether it's Tech or anywhere else. Usually, there's turnover issues, injury issues, execution issues. So no, there isn't anything spiritual or spooky about it. Okay, so it's just playing ball. Sometimes you play better than other times. You play better than you do at other times. So it's just how it is. Anytime you play, it can be different.
Have you ever been involved in a game that was spiritual or spooky?
No.
Hey, Bob, the linebackers seem to, I don't know if they have less tackles, it just seems like they've been less noticeable. Is it a different scheme that Mike and Kish have brought in that de-emphasizes anything that they've done in the past under Brent, or is that all?
No, I don't think there's much different, but we've played a little bit different than we did, than we have, last year. So, but they'll have their opportunities, but it isn't that much different, So, but we have some subtle differences than how we played a year ago.
Well, how are they playing overall? Are you pleased?
Yes, they are playing well, and we thought the other night those guys, for the most part, really our last game, they played, pretty well.
You kind of feel like this is a challenge that Mike's been building to with revamping things a little bit defensively. This is the first, offense that, historically gives a lot of teams trouble with the passing and the issues you had the pass game last year.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's another challenge. I would say Kansas State gives you as many headaches as anybody.
Right,
but,
so they're not the type of throwing team.
Yeah, they're just different headaches is a better way of saying it. But so it's another challenge. But like I said, I thought a week ago was in a different way. Very much was very challenging too. So. So yeah, he knows in this league at D coordinator is a challenge every week, with all the good quarterbacks and strong offenses.
Seems like it's been a challenge getting the ball to Trey McGuire down the field, whether it's him being out of bounds or the quarterback and him being out of sync. What have you seen from that, and how can you get him more involved? Because we know he's a talented guy.
Yeah, we worked. Last week that was something that we have worked more on. Just emphasizing, I should say, not that we've worked it, but just more and more emphasis on his precision and where he's at. And I'd say he and Justin, Brown, is just trying to make sure that that their opportunities are there and that we're taking advantage of them when they are, and so it just needs to continue to be worked.
2 straight day games, Bob. Saturday at Lubbock and then Dallas 11 a.m. You got to be happy about that.
Yeah, when you lose a game, you don't get the night game as much. So.
First off week, you said that you guys took an opportunity to self-evaluate offensively and defensively. Did you do the same in this off week, especially looking at offensive game planning and play calling, things like that?
Sure. I mean, those are things you do every Sunday, Monday. You highlighting, here are the plays we did well. Here are the ones we didn't do so well. Here are the plays we never got to. So you're constantly looking at what you're doing.
Do you think your defensive backs have something to prove in this game, given what happened last year, and you have to guard against maybe them playing too much emotion because of that?
I don't think you have to guard against too much emotion. In the end, I think anyone that's played a little bit understands that it's your preparation and your whole week of work, not just how excited you are. That lasts about a minute, and then you got to play for 3.5 hours, and that isn't going to do it for you. So, and I would think they'd have something to prove. How could you not?
How do you get more pressure on the pass? I mean, haven't got.
Well, you could, your 4-man rush or your blitz more often, and some of the thing about blitzing a bunch is sometimes it's feast or famine. You get there, you get the sack, it looks great. Another time they pick it up or they run something right into it and the guy's hitting his head on the goalpost. So it's, some people, it isn't just because you're blitzing isn't always the answer, and so to us, you just got to pick and choose when you do it.
When you look at it, particularly that Baylor and the West Virginia game, it seems like that's pretty much the example of what happens when you don't blitz. If you give a guy too much time or you can't get pressure to a guy, it turns into track meets like that.
Like it can, yeah, definitely. So I don't think there's any question you have to pick your spots and try and make a quarterback uncomfortable and hopefully we'll be able to do that as we go on. Again, at Kansas State was a different issue in that some of their run game, I think you're playing Russian roulette if you do it very much.
Bob, how good is Seth Davey? It seems like in this conference he's kind of gone under the radar because he looks really good.
He's excellent, and of course we know that from watching how well he threw the ball a year ago, and he, you see all these games. He's having a great year, executing really well, throws a great ball, so he would be up there with anybody.
Is their offense still fairly in the vein of when Mike was there?
Oh, absolutely. Very.
It hasn't changed that much.
Mm-mm.
Did anybody really step up and stand out to you last week in practice?
I can't say anybody in particular, just really. I thought the guys all, though, worked really hard, and I was pleased about that.
Bob, your down lineman or your tackle nose guard, since you had the off week and you had some more good on good, did you see a little improvement, and specifically with Casey Walker just being able to come back and play?
Yeah, he's you know, he continues to work really well in there and is doing good. So those guys have, you know, Jamarcus has had a pretty, has really been, has had a good game in every game so far. And so all those guys are doing well. You know, and I can imagine David would be a guy in this game that will work in there as well to some degree. He did a year ago too. So, but you know, those guys are doing a pretty good job in there, really.
Well, do you have to change anything about the way you practice when you have to play 9 games in a row without a break, and just to avoid any injuries?
Well, you know, the injuries, I think injuries really in today's game are an issue for everybody, not just us. You get thin real fast. So the more you go good against good, you're always kind of susceptible to getting somebody banged up. But then if you don't, you're worried, are you making the strides you need to in practice? And so you have to watch it, you know, but you have to get some against each other, or, you know, you got to keep trying to develop players that haven't played as much in practice as well.
Mike Gundy says that he's changed the policy and he's not going to address injuries at all. Did you know about that? And are you wanting?
No, but I like his policy. I never have addressed it when I guess overall when I felt the guy had an opportunity to play, right? And I've explained why, because I don't want to put a young guy that's going to go out there and play at risk of everyone knowing where he's limited. Now, if a guy has been out, I've been pretty forthcoming about saying he's out. So I don't know that I'll change that to right now, but I'll see how it goes for Mike, and maybe I will. So.
Special teams have not seemed to be an issue, good or bad, this year. They've just sort of been out.
Well, I think that's not really fair. I mean, our kickoff return and punt return have been really good. I think we're at the top of the league in both of them.
Kickoff returns don't seem to be a factor in much any game. I mean, most kicks are going into the end zone. And
well, I mean, we had, 3 of them, I think, here against Kansas State that all went past the 35-yard line, I believe. So that's pretty good field position.
So you're pleased with your special teams through 3 games?
Yeah.
Thinking about that West Virginia-Baylor game, this is sort of a macro football question. Will there ever be a period of defensive dominance again? Because it just seems like offensive coordinators are figuring out that they can do more than any defense can prepare for. Is that true?
Well, it's fairly true. You know, if you got a good quarterback, some good receivers, and, you know, it gets tougher and tougher to defend. So, you know, what will you ever see that? I don't know. You know, the rules kind of play into their favor as well. So that all kind of goes together. But, you know, you'll still see some teams, I mean, here and there that are going to, you know, play better defense than others.
It does, though, just seem to be here and there. I mean, I can't imagine a league being considered, you know, that's the league where everybody plays defense.
Yeah, well, I mean, the SEC is what everyone says, but I saw a few teams put up some big numbers the other day, too, in that league. So it might be filtering that way, too. And again, I think the better quarterbacks you get, the harder it is.
As a defensive guy, is that getting harder and harder to watch?
Hey, it isn't going away, so.
Will somebody come up with a new defensive scheme that just turns everything back around? Is that possible?
Again, I'm sure, to me, it isn't just scheme, it's get the players being able to, you know, to stop it.
But some of it some of it is the rules. And I mean, do there need to be talks about maybe allowing defensive backs to be more physical with receivers, things like that, to maybe even that competitive balance back out?
Well, you would think, but I mean, you know, it's like the no huddle I addressed with our people. We had a game a year ago, I think, where they throw the ball deep into the end zone, you know, 50 yards downfield, and I got 2 defensive backs chasing the other guy, and it's incomplete, and my guy's got 50 yards to travel back. That guy walks off the field, and there are other receivers back on the line already, ready to go, and they let him snap the ball. my guys are running back. So, I mean, you know, it has to be a little, wait a second here. You know, if you're going to substitute, at least you got to give our guys a chance to line up. So, and those are things that they're working on, and they have addressed it. But that's just a for instance that you got to watch how the rules are being, you know, how they're administering everything too.
What if we just went back to some old-fashioned rule, limited substitution?
Again, I don't see it happening.
Favor that?
No.
You used to say, getting ready for tech, your first thing defensively was to stop to run. Is it still, and if it is, why?
Absolutely, because of everything is set up off of the run, and the times when we have played them the best, we have defended the run the best. In times when we haven't, the run game has hurt us as much as anything. So.
Bob, Bronson Irwin went to the OSU Texas game this weekend. Did you encourage any of the guys to go, and do you lay down any rules when they go into territory like
I had
that?
no idea. I didn't ask 105 of my guys where they were going for the weekend, so that's no big deal.
And then Stacy McGee recently tweeted that he's starting to feel caged. I didn't know. Is there any update on any of the suspended players?
No update.
Is Stacy working out with you right now? Does he practice?
Yes. All right.